I'm Dr. Tan. So today I will guide you step by step how you're going to complete your Lab4 OSPF configurations. So first, you're going to run your ENSP as an administrator mode. Okay, we will going to doing two practicals exercise on this Lab04. The first one, we will going to follow the configurations on your slides. Okay, so we were going to doing this OSPF by creating a two area, area 0 and also the area 1. Okay, by using a dynamic protocol OSPF. So the next following, we will going to follow your lab exercise by creating the OSPF. Basically, it's only follow these lab practices. Okay, so remember you have two configurations and two topology you need to create up for a Lab04. So let us kick start for the first one. How you going to configure? Follow these configurations. You have to create a two area 0 and then you let the router 2 to connect the area 0 and also the area 1. So let us kick start for this lab. First one, you have to create a new tuple. Okay, so you're going to drop a three router. Okay, router 1, router 2, and also the router 3. Okay, so you're going to select your line. Okay, so here you will going to select the Ethernet G001 connect to router 2 G001 also. And also from the router 2 you connect to the router 3 is a G001 and Z001. Okay, so after that you can slightly adjust the label. Okay, you can adjust nicely, then select all to start. Then after that we can go into defines, okay, the IP address. Okay, so let us do some labeling. So on the G00, we will going to assign the interface for the router 1 is a G01.12.1. So we're using a subnet 30, network mask 30. So here we were going to using a 10.1.12.2. So it's a 30 for Z00. Okay, so on here you were using a 10.1.23.1. 30. So same for here, G0 router 3, you will have a 10.1.23.2/30. Okay, so this one you can go into Lemmy as a router 1, or you remember like our exercise, we want to ensure all the students you have go through the hands-on. So make sure you dename by your normal metric. Okay, and then make it as a router 1. The same things for the second one, rename as your normal metric. Then this one, rename it as your normal metric BI23SX. Whatever lah, normal metric. Okay, so here you define as a router 3. Okay, so after you define already, remember we will go into using your loopback interface, okay, as your router ID. So for the router 1, we will going to assign our router ID or loopback interface here as a 1.1.1. Router 2, you were going to using a 2.2.2, and also the router 3, you were going to using a router 3.3.3/32. Okay, this one is your loopback. Okay, at the same time, we will go into divide it. Okay, select the drawing planet. Okay, we select the blue color. So we were going to create a area 0. Just select, okay, area 0. Then after that, you can go into select another color. Okay, then define as a area. Here, this one we want to assign them as a area 1. Okay, so you can go into determine. Here is a area 0. So here you want to name it as a area 1. Okay, so this one is all the topologies that you will go into configure. Okay, you will let a router 2 reside on the area 0 and also the area 1. So the step by step, how you going to configure, okay, the step 1, like normally, okay, you need to configure all the interface. Okay, all the IP address and also your loopback interface. So the step 2, you will go into set up your OSPF. Okay, that means you need to configure your OSPF. And then the last step, always you need to verify your result. That means you need to test whether your package can be sent to a different area. That means you're going try to print from the router 1 whether it able to reach up your router 3 there. So now we already draw all the topology. We already start, right? When you're going to see the color, that means your router already start. So you can go into open, okay, or your router 1, router 2, and router 3. Yeah, this one I cannot see very clear. Let me start all again. Okay, so this one, it should be a router 1. So let us go into rename the router 1. 6 name. Okay, name it as your normal metric. Okay, name it as your router 1. Okay, the same things you can go into rename your router 2. Okay, enter your system name, BI23, your normal metric, and then name it as a router 2. Then after that, the same things go into system, view 6 name, so the name as your normal metric for your router 3. 23xx, then you put it as a router 3. So of course, when you go into doing your practical hands-on in real world, you no need to put your normal metric there. Okay, this one is just for us to differentiate whether the students you are doing your own or you just go in to check your friends exercise and submit to us to marking lah. Okay, now we go back to a router 1. Okay, so we follow the step by step. What you should do for the step by step, maybe I put it into the corner. Okay, so you're going to see on the step by step. Step 1, you need to configure the interface. So we based on here, you have a router 1. So you will go into configure your first interface is a G00 to assign the IP address. So the same things always enter to a G000. Okay, assign the IP address 10.1.12.1. Okay, 30. So after that, you create your interface. So remember, you still have one loopback interface is a 1.1.1. Okay, so you will go into assign, enters your interface loopback 0. And chance you're going to assign the IP address is 1.1.1.1. Okay, 32. Okay, so now you already done for the router 1. It's very straightforward, right? You only have 2 interface. Okay, so after you learn for it, if let's say you want to checking whether you are doing the correct configurations of route, you can go into check display current configurations. So you can go into check whether your G001 you have assigned the correct IP address and also your loopback. Okay, you have assigned the IP address correctly or not. Okay, if done and verified already, now you can go to your router 2. Okay, your router 2 you are going to do is a little bit where is it? My configurations. Okay, you need to do is you have 2 interface on G00 and also the G00 step. Okay, so you go to the router 2 interface G00. Okay, G000. Okay, after that, you're going to assign the IP address 10.1.12.2. Subnet mask 30. Okay, 10.1.12.2. Your network mask is 30. Okay, so after that, you're going to quit it and then you go to interface again G001. Okay, I type G or I type, okay, it's a 9. G. Okay, 001. So after that, you're going to assign the IP address. Okay, 10.1.23.1. Network mask 30. Okay, so now you already done the configurations for both, okay, for the router 2. So the next step, of course, you can go in to check your configurations. You can quit and then you can display your configuration. So you can go in to check whether you have assigned the G00 correctly or and also the G001. Okay, so after that, you can quit. Then you go to your router 3. So the same things in a router 3, we were going to assign the G001, the IP address 10.123.2, and also our loopback interface. So go to G001, a 01. Okay, so you are going to assign the IP address 10.123.2 Okay, so after that, you are going to quit the interface. You're going to enter your loopback interface, loopback 0 interface. So you are going to assign the IP address 3.3.3.3.32. Okay, so you can quit and then display your current configuration. So you can go in to check whether you done the configurations is a correct one or not. Okay, 23.2 and also the loopback is 3.3.3. Okay, so now we already complete the first step. The second step is you need to configure the OSPF. So on here, we're going to assign all those routers, okay, they will go into using a process 1. Okay, so you will go into enters, okay, OSPF process ID, we are going to set it as a 1. Okay, so you will go into router 1. Okay, you can go into quit it. Okay, go to your router 1. Okay, make sure you are under the system view. Then you're going to enter the OSPF process ID 1. So I now enter assigns the router ID is my loopback. Okay, is my loopback interface IP address. Okay, I assign the OSPF. Okay, the router ID is 1.1.1. Okay, after I assign, I enters. Okay, now I assign them is a area 0 and then I enter a area 0. So I going to assign which of the address is belong to the area 0. So of course the first one it will be your loopback. Okay, so loopback I will going to tell the network 1.1.1.1. Okay, so loopback is a 32, so you should put the reverse mask. Okay, so that means it's a 0.0.0. So you enters. The next one, it will be under your G00. So it's a 10.1.12.1. So again, you need to tighten its network for the 10.1.12.1. So here, because your subnet mask is a 30. Okay, so remember you minus 32 power of 2, 4, you minus 3. So you are going to get is a reverse. Okay, 0.0.3. Okay, so here, sorry, you should not going to put the 1 because it's a network. Okay, it's a 10.1.12.0. So it's a 0.0.3. So you enters. Okay, so after you already assign for your router 1, so now you can quit. Okay, you can go into your router 2. Okay, on your router 2, we have a G00. This one is belong to area 0. And also we have another one is a G001 10.122.1 is belong to the area 1. So we need to do a 2 area. Okay, the first thing we need to assign the router ID for your OSPF. Okay, the same things under your system view, you have to assign your OSPF. Okay, process 1. So you assign your router ID. Oh, this one I forgot to assign my loopback. Okay, my loopback IP address. I think just now for the router 2, I did not assign 2.2.2. Okay, so here we still need one. You go to interface. Okay, enter the loopback 0. Okay, so here I need to assign the IP address is 2.2.2.2.32. Okay, then after you quit it, I forgot to assign already just now. Okay, so after you do it, okay, so now we go back to assign our OSPF on here. Okay, you are going to assign your OSPF process 1 router ID is 2.2.2.2. Okay, so you enter assign them to the area 0. So area 0 you have a network address, okay, from 10.1.12.0. 10.1.12.0. So here you were going to assign 0.0.3. Okay, so this one you're done for your area 0. So now we're doing for the area 1. So the same thing you need to enter. This one is just for the update. So make sure you quit for your area 0. So you now enter the area 1. Okay, area 1. So after that, the same things you are going to assign the network for the 10.1.33.0. So it's a 0.0.0.3. Okay, you enter, you assign to them. Okay, so after that, you can go into quit it. Then you go into enter your router 3. Okay, so you need to enter your system view. Okay, assign router 3 is belong to area 1. So you now enter the OSPF process 1. You assign, okay, the router ID is your loopback 3.3.3.3. Okay, so you enter. Then you assign them to area 1. Okay, so area 1 you have a network. First one it should be your router loopback. Okay, then after that it will be your this one. Okay, network 10.1.23.0, 0.0.0.0.3. Okay, so after that you're going to enter on it. So now you already done all your OSPF. So the next step you need to verify whether you done correctly or not. Okay, you can just go to your router tool. Okay, you go into your router tool under your system view. Not system view, your user view. Okay, then you go into display. Okay, type display OSPF peer. You want to see who actually is your peer OSPF. So make sure you have a 1.1 and also the 3.3. Okay, under a 1.1, you link under your G00 and G001 actually you link to your area 01. And your neighbor relationship, it should be a full step. Okay, that means they have already established the adjacency correctly, successfully. Okay, so the next step, you also can go to your router 1 or router 2. You can go into display. Example, you can go to your router 2. You display your IP routing tables. Okay. Okay, so you will go into C. Now you have a 1.1.1. Okay, your cost. This one, your next hop, you will go through on here. So that means it's correctly lah, no issue. And also you have another path to a 3.3 under the router 2. Or you can go to your router 1 also. Okay, then you're going to display the OSPF peer brief. Okay, so make sure you have a area 0.0 on here. Okay, and also you can display IP routing table. Okay, so you are going to see you have linked to a 3.3. Okay, it able to reach out routes. Actually, how we going to move to forward our package to a destinations 3.3 is already done. Okay, they already learned. Okay, so on the last step, okay, you actually can try to ping, okay, from your source 1.1.1 and then you're trying to reach up your destinations 3.3.3. So you should able to get the reply. If you cannot get the reply, that means you did not actually form the OSPF or configure the OSPF correctly or not. Okay, so this one, after you done it, so remember to save your topology, okay, as a Lab4 A. Okay, this one is your practice A. Just save it as a A and make sure you go to all to save your configurations file there. So remember, yes. Okay, same things, go to your router to save your configuration file. Then go to your router 3, save your configurations and quit. Okay, so should save your configuration file under the user view. So that's all for our OSPF practice. The first practice. So we still got another practice. Okay, next we will going to continue for our Lab4 practice 2 or practice B. Okay, you will going to explore under follow the lab exercise. So basically on this exercise, you are going to build the topology that consists of the 3 router, and each of the router basically you are going to assign to the same area. That's why on this lab practicals, I ask you to try on ours practice on the lectures, you have a multi-area, area 0 and also the area 1. But on this exercise, basically you will going to explore, you assign all the router 1, 2, 3 belong to the same area, 0. But you are going to learn more about how actually you're going to uh, view, okay, to verify whenever your OSPF is running correctly, just like previous your practice A, and also how actually you go in to control the route selections by changing on the cost parameters, and then also how you going to advertise your default routes on the OSPF in order to get the others router to synchronize their RSDN. And also lastly, on the lectures, we're going to say that the OSPF, basically you can do the packet authentications. So you were going to explore on the configurations, how you're going to enable the packet authentications for your OSPF. Okay, so on here, basically, we were going to using a 3 router on here. So we are wasting time, just go into your topology, ENSP. So you going to route the 3 router on here, router 1, router 2, and router 3. Okay, you just go into MAC router 1, 2, 3. Okay, so drop a 3 router. So remember to select your line, okay, your cable. So this one you are going to choose the copper so that you can go into select the interface. So we match the router 1 connect to router 3 using a G00. Okay, connect to a router 1 you using a G001. Okay, so on here you're also using G001. Then on here you're using Z00, connect to a router 3 G001. Okay, so after that you can direct go into start your router without wasting the time. Okay, then we do some labeling. Okay, so again, okay, rename your router. Okay, example this one, remember to put your normal metric, router 1. Okay, and then rename again BI to 3 or to 2. Okay, it depends on your normal metric. Okay, then this one, it will be your router 2 BI to 3 6. Okay, so let us go into assign the IP address. Okay, for the G00, we will go into using the IP address 10.13.1. So we're using a subnet mask class 24. Okay, then here you're using a 10.0.13.3 24 for the G00 on here. Okay, then you can go into assign a G001. So remember here you were going to using a 10.0 12.1. So you're using a 24 also. Then another one you are going to using a 10.0 12.2 24. Okay, then you are going to using on here is 10.0 23.2 24. Okay, 10.0 23.3. Okay, so now you already assign the IP address for each of the interface for a three router 1, 2, 3. So remember on here we also were going to using a loopback interface, okay, to hold your IP address, which we're going to assign as your router ID. Okay, so on here we're using a 10.1.1 32 loopback for the router 1. Then we're going to assign the loopback for your router 2. So we're using is a 10.0.1.2 32. Okay, then we also have a router 3 loopback. We change it to be a 0.3. Okay, make sure you do all the labeling. So remember on this exercise, we are going to create a area 0 only. We assign all the these three into a how to say, into a same area. So you can go into put the text here. Okay, so now because your when you check, you see they change it to be a green color, that means actually your device is running already lah. So you can go into kickstart your configurations, router 1, router 2, router 3. But before we start the configurations, always remember, okay, it is always the first thing that you need to do. You need to configure your interface. When we say configure your interface, that means you have to assign all the IP address, okay, on the interface. Okay, maybe I put step 1. So after you're going to do for the IP address for your interface, here we did not going to do any static route. We're just going to enable our dynamic routing protocol. So we're going to configure is a OSPF. Okay, then the next one after we doing the OSPF, of course you can go into test, okay, whether your OSPF is running or not. But remember just now I mentioned we were going to do the configure the authentications. Okay, OSPF authentications. Then after that's the step 4, we will go into advertise. Okay, your default routes there. But of course, after you going to do the OSPF on here, you can start to do the verification step on here lah. Okay, but on this exercise, we just going to do it lah. We don't put it into the step, but you can go into add on the step on here. After we run the OSPF, actually you can start to ping before you're going to implement the authentication step. Okay, let me go into open back our exercise. So now we will going to follow step by step, okay, to understand what you need to do. So remember for every exercise on here, basically I think they miss up to assign the router ID. Because on here you using is a 10.0.11 is your router ID. But on here configurations, they actually did not going to mentions your router ID on here. So don't make sure if you don't follow the video, basically if you follow my video, you were going to aware lah. Otherwise you cannot get the same result there. Okay, so now you're going to open your we're going to do our step 1. Okay, just going to opens, okay, move to your router 1. Okay, how you going to configure for your router 1? Remember, we have a 3 interface, 2G interface that you need to assign the IP address and also 1 loopback. Okay, always the same things. You need to rename your router. Okay, name it for your exercise. We're going to name it using your normal metric and router 1. But in a real world, you don't need to name it as your normal metric. This one is just to facilitate us to marking for your lab exercise submissions there. Okay, so after you go into dename, so you need to start to assign the IP address before you go into do the configurations on your OSPF. So first thing, we move to the G00 0. So we assign the IP address 10.0.13.1. So we're using a subnet mask 24. Okay, so after you assign G00 created, so you move to your G001. Okay, so you assign the IP address 10.0.12.1, subnet mask 24. So after created, remember before you left it, you have to configure the loopback interface. So go to your loopback interface and then going to assign the IP address for the 10.0.1.1, okay, 32. So after that, going to create. Okay, you can go into display the current configurations to check whether you assign, okay, the configurations correctly or not. Okay, so G00, I am assigned a 10.0.13.1. Okay, 255.255 stand for, this one stand for at 16.24. Okay, then you move to the G001. Okay, G001 I assign is a 10.0.12.1, so 24. Then I going to assign on my loop back. Here I going to assign is a 10.0.11 to 55.255. Okay, the same things we're going to configure on the router 2. Make sure you move into the router 2. So the same things, move to the system view and rename your router, okay, as your normal metric, and then name it as a router 2. So now you're going to move to the interface. Router 2, we also have a 3 interface. So we were going to set up for the G001. Okay, it depends on your preferences, which one you want to configure. So 10.0.12.2, 24. Okay, then you're going to quit it. So make sure you enter to a G00. Then you assign the IP address 10.0.23.224. Okay, so after you quit that, then move to the interface of the loopback. Okay, then you're going to assign your IP address 10.0.1.232. Okay, then you quit it. So you try to display current configurations. Okay, one space to check out. One space again. Okay, make sure for the G00 on here 23.2, right? Then on here 10.0.12.2 for G001, and also your loopback is 1.2 32. 32 means at 16.24 32. Okay, then you can go into left it, and then now you move to your router 3. So router 3, the same things, you have a 3 interface that you need to configure on it. Enter the system view, the name. Okay, put your normal metric, router 3. So after that, you are going to enter your interface. Here is a G001. So you are going to assign the IP address 10.0.23.3. Okay, 24. 10.0.23.3. Okay, quit your G001, move to the interface G000. Okay, assigns the IP address will be a 10.0.13.324. Okay, we're doing this one. Okay, after that, quit your interface, and then now we're going to set up configure for your loopback. So move to your loopback. Okay, then you're going to assign the IP address 10.0.1.3. So it's a 32. So quit it. So check your configuration. Display current configurations. So one space, space. Okay, so on here G001, we check whether you are doing the 13.3 G00. Okay, G001. Okay, check whether you are doing is configured correctly or not. Then on your loopback. Okay, so no issue there. Now we already complete for your step 1. Okay, step 2 is very straightforward. It's just like how you going to do like your practice A. Okay, so we move back. Now we go into, you can go into continue, we follow router by router lah. We go back to a router 1. Okay, under the router 1, we will going to create the OSPF process 1, and then we're going to add all the networks under your area 0. But before that, don't forget to assign your router ID. Remember, this morning I mentioned your router ID is not preempt. Okay, you cannot just going to proceed to create your OSPF area 0, then after that you're going to update your router ID. Okay, if you're going to do, you need to obtain the new router ID. That means you have to restart again your OSPF process there. Okay, so we need to avoid step 1. So most of the times you just going to create the OSPF 1. If you did not going to put 1, as just now I mentioned, so by default it will be your process ID is 1. So you no need to put 1 also, can. Okay, but at the same time, remember we want to assign your router ID. Okay, still remember under your process 1, how you going to assign your router ID. So you direct OSPF 1. So don't create it, just type your router ID. Okay, on here we were going to using 10.1.1 as our router ID for this router 1. Okay, then you're going to enter. So now you already create the OSPF process 1, and then you already assign the router ID. Next step, you have to assign them to create the area 0. Okay, create the area 0. So now you were going to assign, okay, which of the networks from the router 1 you want to assign them to be a router to under the area 0. So basically, you were going to put the keyword network. So we assign the G00 on here. Okay, so you can going to put the 10.0.13.1. So here is a 24. That means you remember it's using wildcard. So you will have a 10.0.0.0.255. Okay, or if you don't want to put the 1 on here, why I put 2544, 255. Okay, if you don't want to put the 1 on here also can. You can go into put the 0. That means they should be belong to the same networks there lah. Okay, you also can go into put as a 0. Or you can follow the practice 1, you put it as a 1 there. Okay, so remember, 0 is a wildcard line, exactly match. Okay, 255, it can be any. So that's why here I put 0, I put 1, because it can be any. Okay, so you're going to enter. Okay, the same things, you're going to set the network 10.0 at the second one, 0.0. Okay, add for the interface G00, add on the IP address there. So it's a 10.0.12.0. So the wildcard, it will be /24, so it will be terbalik. Okay, last time you put is a 255, 255, 255, but remember for the network, you have to put it as a wildcard terbalik. Okay, so enter again. The last one, don't forget to assign your loopback. So going to assign the network 10.0.1.1. So here you have to put it 0.1.1, not 0.0, because your subnet mask is a 0.0. Your wildcard, your subnet mask is a 32. So your wildcard, it should be all exactly match 0.00. So that's why on here you cannot put any, you must going to put 1. Because it should be exactly match. Okay, so after that, you're going to enter. Okay, the same things you will move to your router 2. You are going to assign doing the same things. Okay, remember you enter the system view. So under the system view, you enter, create your OSPF process 1, and then assign your router ID is a 10.0.1.2. It's your loopback. So remember, in the class I mentioned the router ID, most of the times you were going to recommend you to manually configured. Okay, and then we always will, if not automatically, they will looking for the largest lah. That means on here they will be selected as the default. Okay, but here we don't want, we just going to mention your router ID. Okay, it's a 1.2. So after that, you're going to create your area 0, enter on it, and then add the network. Which one you want to add it to be your area 0. So on here, we were going to add the 10.0.12.0, so 0.0.255. Okay, 255 here, that means you can put any, you can put 1, you can put 0, also is the same because it can be any. Okay, the next one, you are going to add on your network again. So you are going to type the network 10.0.23.0. So 0.0.0.255. Okay, then after that, you're going to add on your loopback also. So this one will be a 10.0.1.2. So it's a 0.0.0.0. Okay, so now you done for your router 2. Then you move to your router 3. Okay, enter a system view. So maybe I move here. Okay, so now we will going to create the OSPF process 1. So you assign your router ID. So it will be 10.0.1.3. Create your area 0. Assigns, area, I forgot to put the space. Okay, then you going to assign your network 10.0.23.0, 0.0.0.255. Okay, network again 10.0.13.0. So you can going to put the 0.0.0255. Okay, 10.0, 0.0255. Okay, this one is okay because they will going to update your topology enable status. It will going to keep change and also update to you. Okay, so remember also you need to add on for your loopback. Okay, network 10.0.1.3. So it will be a 0 or is a 0. Okay, so now after you done it, you actually can go into quit, go back to your system view. Okay, then you go into display OSPF here. Okay, so you can go into looking. Okay, now under your router 3, this one is your router ID. So it should be correctly. Then you actually have the under the area 0. Okay, for the 23.3. So it's a G001. G001. So who is your neighbor? So it will be your router 2, right? So it's using a 10.0.1. So you're looking on here, your router ID. So remember, always on the SCIA Datacom, they will asking and confuse you. Remember this router ID, whenever they put on here, numbers. That means under this interface G001, who is your number? So definitely it will be a 10.0.1.2 lah, because you already said it. Okay, so the IP address, it will be a 10.0.23.2. Okay, then your full stack. So remember what is a full stack? That means basically router 1 and router 2, okay, they actually reach up the adjacency. Okay, adjacency. Okay, so they have a designated router and also the they have a master and also the slave there lah. Okay, so here mode they mentions your neighbor is a slave. Why? So this morning we going to learn because we will going to select the largest IP address, they will become a master. So you compare router 3 10.0.1.3 compared to a router 2 10.1.2. Largest is this one 1.3. So that's why on your number 1, okay, it will be a slave. Okay, 1.2 is a slave. It's not the master. Okay, so you're going to see who will be the designated. Okay, 22.2. And then this one will be your backup. Okay, so the same things you're going to read under your G00 on here. Okay, under this interface. So who is your nullable? So you have a router 10.0.1. So with their IP address on here. Okay, so it's correct, right? So who will become a slave? So against your IP address is higher than the opposite kan. So you actually will going to serve as router. 3 here will be a master, here will be a slave. Okay, so your designated router ID and then your backup router ID 1.3. Okay, so this is how we're going to interpret your OSPF. So of course, you can go into looking on the display OSPF peer brief. Okay, you can go into see lah, who actually is your nullable and then under which of the area. So this one is a brief lah. They will not going to display you the details one. Okay, now if let's say I want to display also the OSPF RSDB. This morning we're going to look in kan. So actually all is here lah. So you are going to look in your routers. Okay, which one is your router ID? Then who actually going to advertise the router? Okay, and also you can go into views your routing table of your OSPF. So you need to using the display IP. Okay, routings tables. So you just going to type the OSPF. I display routings routing tables. I forgot to put the OS protocol OSPF. So you are going to look in on here. Okay, because now I'm under the router 3. So I have a 3 OSPF on here. Okay, not only 3. You can look in on router 3. So I have a destinations go to 1.1 on here. Okay, my course is a 1. And also at the same time, I have the routes go to a router 2. Okay, and then at the same time, I going to generate for my networks 1. Okay, it's for the 10.12.0. Okay, to reach up on here. Okay, this is how the way they going to generates and also to display the routes that learn from the OSPF. Okay, so remember here is the cost. Okay, the cost how actually we going to sum up. That means if let's say I want to reach out, okay, for the 10.0.12.0 on here. So basically, I will going to add up G00 is 1 kan. This morning we learned how to calculate the cost 100. 100 divided by 1000, but because we don't have the 0.1, we just have a 1. So here you have a 1 and reach up on here you have another 1. So your root cost it will be 1 plus 1. That's why on here you got the data is 2. Okay, so now you already done step 2. Definitely you can try to ping the protocol lah. Okay, you can try to ping -A for my 10 point. This one I am under the router 3, so 10.01.3. I'm going to ping my destinations 10.0.1.1. Okay, so you definitely you were going to reach up on here. But if let's say you want to see on 1.1 whether they're going to reach up from here or they were going to select the direct one, so you can using a tracer lah to going to see from where actually you were going to reach up your destinations. Trusted 10.1.0 -A 10.1.0. I forgot to put the 10.0.1.1. So this one you can going to see lah. Actually, they're going to reach is a direct route. Okay, not going to using the hopping one. Okay, now we try against how actually you going to do the configurations for the IP package to do the interface authentication step. Okay, so to do the authentications, remember you will go in, they have a different way. The first thing you can go in to do it under your interface. Okay, so we move to the router one. Later you will going to learn that you can directly do the authentication also under the area. Okay, now you do the authentications based on the interface. So move to your router one, enter your system view. So go to the example. Now I want to enable it under the G00 on here. So I just go to enter the G00 interface. So how you going to enable the OSPF using the OSPF authentication mode? So what kind of the algorithm that you want to using? MD5. Okay, hashing MD5 one. Then you're going to select what actually is the password that you want to authenticate. So on here, you are going to follow, you make it as a HCIA data com. So you enter on it. Okay, you can go into display this in order to view the configurations that you have assigned under the G00. But remember your ciphertext, this one, they will going to hash it. Okay, they will not going to display the crack for you lah. Okay, the next one, the same things you're going to quit your G00. We were going to make it under the G001 also. So enter your interface G001. Okay, the same things, OSPF authentication mode. Okay, you will going on here. Here, they will change the status because they no more able to authenticate the G00. Okay, the package need to do the authentications on here because you already enable it. That's why they were going to tell you the status is down. Okay, you need to enable later on under your router 3 also lah. So here you just going to enable it MD5 1 cipher. So you're going to make it as a CIA data com. Okay, so after that, you also can go into display this to verify your configurations here. Okay, then after that, the same things you can go into display your OSPF. Here, you will going to see you don't have any area under on here because you already set up, you need the authentications on here. Okay, so you don't have. So now you move to the router 2 also. So you're doing the same. Okay, enters your router 2. You have a G001 and G00. So go to G001. Okay, sorry. You have to enter the system view, move to the interface G001. Then go into select OSPF authentications mode. Okay, you will go into using the formula and define 1. Then you go into determine your cipher is a HCIA data com. Okay, the same things you quit it. Okay, then you go into move to the interface G000. Okay, so now you're going to enable your authentications mode. Same thing and define. Okay, 1 cipher. SCIA data com. Okay, then you're going to quit it. So the same things you can try to display your OSPF enable on that, or you can direct move to your router 3 and then you go in to do the configurations. Okay, but router 3 we trying to using another way how you going to do the configurations. Okay, you no need to enter each of the interface. Basically, you can just going to determine under your area 0. Okay, but if order to enter the area 0, you have to enter the OSPF process, same process, area 0, enter it. Then you're going to set the authentication mode. You no need to type the OSPF because now you already under the OSPF. So you're just going to type. So again, your authentication mode. The same things you using a and define one. Then you're using a cipher, the same cipher, SCIA data.com. Okay. So after that, you can go into quit it. Okay, then you go into quits for your router 3. Okay, you can try to display your OSPF peer brief. Okay, so because now you already enable all the authentication, so you should able to remain they will be have a interface. Okay, these two interface and their enable ID, and you are form a full stack. That means you are form a advertiser. Okay, so remember always, okay, assumes if let's say we go into design, okay, we go back to our diagram on here. If let's say, okay, I don't want to resize, I want to match my router 1. Okay, it's the address. Okay, I want to maybe on here, I go into determine, I want to make the router 1 is the address. Okay, so I want to make it is a address for all the network on here, router 1. Okay, so basically it will go into advertise all the default routes. Okay, remember default routes is whenever we don't know where is it we want to forward. Okay, we will going to assign record back on the IP route static. We are going to using the any network as your destinations, okay, because we don't know where is it the user want to go. So on here, because it's the address already, maybe they go to, remember on the last week I mentioned, maybe they go for the Facebook, they go for the Huawei, they go for your UMS, okay, website there. We don't know where the student where the package they will forward to. So we will going to create a default route by using the 0.0.0. Okay, so on that part, your router 1, always you need to advertise your default route to the OSPF. Okay, so on here, you will go into to advertise to any router they are active non-OSPF routes. Okay, and remember you always need to using the always. Okay, if you cannot go in to understand what I means, you try to read under the step 5 of your Lab4. Okay, this is what we means on here lah. Okay, you already have a class, you already set up the default route, but now, okay, you will always going to advertise to the OSPF area to others router. Okay, so you need to type this command. How you going to type? You must ensure you enter the same process ID of the OSPF. Okay, so now you're going to enter your router 1. Make sure you enter is a correct router 1. Enter the system view again. So OSPF 1. Or you type the OSPF also can because by default, the process ID 1 is the process ID. The default process ID is 1. Okay, then you're going to type the command default. Okay, got the roots. So you go into advertise always. Okay, then you're going to enter on it. Okay, then you can go into check in on your routing tables. Okay, you will display IP, okay, routing tables. So you are going to see on here, you are going to get all the advertisements of the routes available on your site on here. Okay, or you can go to the router to view the advertise. Okay, so you display IP routing tables. Okay, so basically you see on here, you have a default route. Okay, so you can go to the router 3 also to display IP routing tables. So you see, they will going to get the default routes that advertised by your router 1, which serve as a egress of the network. Okay, so now we going also another one on here. I think we will going to add one more step 5. So on here you will going to learn how actually we control the routes. Okay, where is it we want to forward by modified the cost. Okay, in order to route up. Okay, by now, okay, on your step, because now you going to from the router tree, example from the router tree, I can go into reach up. Okay, we using back the example under your lab exercise. Okay, under the router 1, okay, we will going to reach up your router 2. Normally is we going to ping directly, right? Okay, if you don't know where is it, you can go into display your router 1. Okay, or example, you can go into ping your router 1 also lah. Okay, or you go into trace route. Okay, or basically you looking on here, you also will know how actually you going to reach up your router 2. Okay, you will go through is using your 10.0.12.2. You will go through here. Or if you cannot, you can just go into from your source 10.0.1.1. So how actually I going to reach up 1.2? So basically it's a direct routes. Okay, you direct jump on here. But now what we trying to do, okay, why they will going to select? Because the cost here is the cost you only have one. Okay, lower the cost, higher the priority, right? Whenever your protocol is the same, so you will look in on the low cost compared to here. Okay, I will going to reach up also, but my cost is 2. So I will go through on this way. But now we want to force, okay, on the data forwardings, they will go into forwards, go through a router 3 to reach up your router 2. Instead, we go into directly on it. So remember how we going to force it to transit. Okay, because now they will going to choose your to reach up your router 1 because your course on here, we send out will through these routes under your router they are using is a cost 1. So that means on here we will not going to pick it for the when we going to reach up for the 1.2 on here, we will not going to using on it because the cost is a 2. So now you need to adjust it for this one in order them to increase to be a 10 so that they will go to the another options lah. Okay, so we were trying to adjust the cost for this one. Okay, so how you going to adjust the cost is very simple. You just need to enter the interface. Okay, go to your router 1. Hey, where is it? Okay, the same things go back to your router 1. Sorry, I show you the wrong routing tables. Okay, so it should be 1.2. You reach up on here. Okay, so the 1. Okay, now we going to look in on here. Router 1, go back to your router 1. So make sure you go into change under your G001. Okay, change on the G001 on here. And then you increase the cost. You just tell them OSPF. So I want to change the cost to be a 10. Okay, so after that, you can try to display your IP routing tables. IP routing table. So you see the cost for the G001, okay, they no more using no more exits. Okay, they will going to choose is your 2 cost. The cost is a 2. That means they will going to force your network going to jump from the 1.2 to reach up your destinations 1.2. The next hop you have to go to the 13.3. You have to go through on here already. Okay, if you also cannot understand, you can try to trace it lah. Okay, traces from your A from the 0.1.1. I want to reach up 0.1, 0.1.2. So you reach up, you have a 2 hop. The first one, you were going to reach up on the temp 1.3, and then the second one you were going to reach up is a 23.2. Okay, that's why your cost is a 2. So now your point 1, no more exit under your routing table, because remember the routing tables, we will only keep the optimal routes, because now the cost here is a 10. But if you're going to forward wheel here, you only cost is a 2. So remember, the last week we learned how you're going to select your preferred routes. The first thing we were going to base on the destinations, longest match. Okay, so after that we were going to look in on the protocol, okay, and their preferences. So now because all you are enabled is a OSPF, so you were going to look in compare on their course. Okay, so this is how actually the overall how you going to do for the configurations lah, for the what actually we trying to do on this practice for B. Okay, we configure the IP address always, even the exercise they no more show you step by step. I think no more can. Okay, show you step by step how you going to assign the IP address there lah, but you should be able to do it already. Then you will going to explore how you're going to create the OSPF. It's very straightforward, right? You just going to assign OSPF process ID 1, and then you create the area 0. Then you assign all the interface, okay, to the area 0. Then after that, you're going to ensure that you do the interface authentications there lah. Okay, so you're going to type is a OSPF authentication mode, which of the algorithm you're using, and define one cipher, what kind of the password that you want to use them for authentications. Then after that, you're also going to learn, okay, if example, your router 1 here is a Atlas, okay, you have a default route. How actually you going to advertise your default route to the router 2 and also the router 3. Then at the end, the last one, you learn how actually you're going to change the path, okay, of the router by using a dynamic routing lah. So that means you're going to change the cost there. Okay, it's not like the IP route static, you can go into configure kan. Okay, on here, do we need to create the backup? No need because it's a dynamic. So we no need to create the backup, because whenever this link is down, they actually will going to forward. They will going to learn the dynamic one, and they will going to forward on it. Okay, if you don't believe, you can going to shut down your interface G00 lah on your router 3. Then you're going to see they will going to help you to generate the dynamic one. So you go to the router 3. Okay, you enter your system. So interface G, example, I shut down the G00. Okay, so I already shut down. So we will going to quit. Okay, so you were going to display your OSPF here. So you looking on here, they were going to have a area 0 G001 already. Okay, if let's say for my router 1, so we will going to display the IP routing tables. So no more you were going to forward your data when you want to reach 1.2, you were going to go for this route. Okay, you no need to do any manually backup, because by default, dynamics, that means whenever your topology is changed. Example, I shut down the interface on here. So they actually were going to learn dynamic on here. That's why on here, they were going to update all the informations on here. They're going to up and adapt to the changes. So they will start to forward your data. Even the cost is a higher. But you no need like the IP route static, you're going to configure as a backup, because OSPF is a dynamic. So that's why OSPF it will be widely using in a industry. Okay, compared to the RIP and also the route static there. Okay, so I think that's all for our Lab 4. And see you again on Lab 5. Bye bye.